Number 10. Tragedy. One of the more truly tragic revelations since the book's release is the fact that Megan suffered a loss very late in her journey as a mom. Within the final pages of the poetry book, Megan describes the heartbreaking pregnancy loss that she suffered with her fiance Colson Baker, better known as MGK. Megan told Kana Whitworth from ABC News that she had never been through anything like that before in her life. She has 3 kids already, so it was very difficult for both of them, and it sent them on a very wild journey together and separately and together and apart, trying to navigate what everything means and why it happened. Megan has made it clear since day one that this is not some expose memoir that you're going to sit down and read for 20 hours on end. This is a collection of truth told through her words. A story that needed to be shared or it was going to make her sick. She's dealt with physical violence from exes, manipulation, tragedy, all these things that she's had to deal with alone or behind closed doors. While she never names any names in her book, we still feel our hearts ache and wrench when she reads a single sentence. Number 9. Addicted to Boys. The title of Megan's book of poems is called Pretty Boys Are Poisonous and is filled with multiple excerpts regarding her past relationships. One thing that she's spoken about briefly in interviews about this book is the fact that she was addicted to boys and had a history of getting together with her co-stars. She told Drew Barrymore on The Drew Barrymore Show that when she was young, she was really rebellious and wild, always running away to fall in love with a new flame, aka every single co-star. She added that at the time, she felt herself to be a free spirit and was just addicted to the idea of falling in love. She went on to tell Drew that it was actually her kids, Noah, Bodhi, and Journey, that changed her whole mindset on relationships and love. She shares her 3 sons with her ex, Brian Austin Green, and she claims that something happened when she had her first child. She realized she didn't want to repeat the pattern of her own parents with her kids. Despite being a solid mom, she did admit that she's been a little bad in the past, admitting that she painted a Friedrich Nietzsche quote on an ex's wall in a ton of paint just so they had to redo their room, poking fun at herself by saying anyone who dated her should write a poetry book as she was not a peach. Number 8. Oxy and Takiki. There is a poem in this book that shares a similar name to this entry, kind of. I'm not allowed to say the real thing on the internet. And restrictions. Megan revealed on Good Morning America that she has been in several physical and mentally damaging relationships. I know that's not even close to the right word to use, but again, can't say the real one. She explained that she was involved with a very famous dude, but that nobody knew that she was dating him. This unnamed celebrity is one of the men described as an evil ex in this book. In her poem, she describes a dark moment with this unnamed man, writing, "Your eyes go black and I know it's too late to run." She told people that she was pinned, spat on, and later had hands placed on her throat by a delusional and possessed man. I had the opportunity to listen to some parts of this book, and I am saying this with 100% sincerity. Go read this book. Megan is a wonderful writer, and I honestly feel like these words are so powerful. This particular one is indescribable. Like, I can't read the entire thing because it's got so many no-no words in it, but also I don't want to ruin it for you. Number 7, MGK rumors. Cheating rumors are always circulating about everyone. Nobody believes that Hollywood icons can partake in a normal, healthy relationship. For Megan and her fiance MGK, there have been rumors forever. Since the first day that these two were spotted together, people have been convinced that MGK is somehow an unfaithful maniac. But like, why do people think that? Not sure if you've listened to this guy speak about his music or just in general recently, but he's a bit of a sweetheart. I watched this man paint his nails with Drew Barrymore on her show. They talked about life, career, and so many cool things, yet the internet looks at this man and just assumes that he's a menace. Well, the rumors were of course false, and Megan Fox actually had to clear the air herself. There was a rumor that MGK was seeing someone named Sophie, who is MGK's guitarist. Megan cleared the air and let everybody know that not only had MGK never cheated on her, she was actually pretty close with bandmates and was confident that Sophie and her fiance were not an item. Megan told people that it was extremely disrespectful to run a news story that was baseless and contains only lies. Very true. Number 6. 2009 Golden Globes. Now, this isn't a revelation from a book, but it's something that she had to go through publicly, and it does deserve to be mentioned. In 2009, comments started flying left and right after Megan Fox was spotted acting a little bit strange at that year's Golden Globes award ceremony. She explained that during the event, she was placed at a table with Blake Lively and the Jonas Brothers. In the center of the table was a bottle of Moe Champagne. She went through multiple glasses of that very quickly. At the time, she was not much of a no-no juice indulger, but following her actions at the event, she decided to quit for good. She actually had herself a good old-fashioned blackout at the event, but the parts that she does remember are not great. She went on the red carpet and said a lot of things that apparently got her in a ton of trouble. In a clip from 2009, Meghan can be seen walking around telling people how nervous she was to be there and that she was on the verge of tossing up her cookies at any moment. She also made a ton of comments on her female co-stars, nothing bad. Just one quote I found in particular was her expressing how much she wanted to have Salma Hayek's chest. The evening was also a bit strange as people were wondering where her husband at the time, Brian Austin Green, was. She told people that he was a man with an ego and that he didn't want to be her date. Number 5. Shoplifting. Meghan's done a lot of things over the years, and one of those things, as it turns out, is shoplifting. Not while she was famous though. She did not pull a Winona Ryder. She actually stole a $7 bottle of lip gloss from the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen makeup collection when she was still in her teens. She revealed in a resurfaced interview that the Walmart employees actually caught her and called the police. She was made to go to a real courtroom and appear in front of a real judge who gave her two options. Either she had to wear a sign that says "I stole from Walmart" and stand outside for 3 days, or she could wrap Christmas presents. Guess which one she picked. So hey, if you had Christmas presents wrapped at a Walmart in the US roughly 20 years ago, might have been Megan Fox. Hey, that's pretty cool. There is not a chance on this planet that that paper still exists, but hey, that'd be pretty valuable paper if it did. Number 4, Michael Bay scandal. Megan has been featured in several films over the years, but it was an interview about her time working with Michael Bay that landed her in a lot of hot water. The original live-action Transformers movies came out in 2007 and co-starred Megan and Shia LaBeouf in the leading roles. Now, they were fun films on screen, but behind the scenes there was apparently a ton of tension on set. According to Megan, who had previously worked with Michael on Bad Boys 2, working for Michael was like working for Schmittler. Fun fact, if you had sh in front of someone's names, you can say it online. Loophole. Of course, Michael didn't appreciate being compared to like one of the worst men in human history, so many speculated that her being left out of the third movie might have had something to do with this behind-the-scenes drama. She went on to call him bland and claimed that he had no personality or social skills, which is just plain rude. I don't know why she had to say that. When the comments were made public, her career began to slowly suffer. Not only was she written out of the Transformers series, but she was forced to make a public apology and retract her statements following the slew of backlash. She took a few years off, but Michael himself later acknowledged that there were missteps on both parts and accepted her retractions. But the pair were able to patch things up and work together on the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies from 2014. So, yay us! Number 3, Me Too movement. As some may remember, the Me Too movement began back in the mid-2010s and acted as a conduit for performers to speak out against their fellow Hollywood peers and, actually have their voices heard. Many celebrities were outed, and the situations with them are so bad that I can't even say their names. But I can make up new ones. People like Bill Cos, Harvey Hamburger Shop, and Kevin Spaceman were at the forefront of these allegations. Meghan was actually left out of this conversation at the time, and it was mainly due to her being annoyed at Hollywood. She had actually been trying to out some of her peers for years, but according to Meghan, she was ridiculed every time she actually spoke up. For Meghan, she had already expressed how uncomfortable she felt on certain sets, especially Bad Boys 2, where she was under a waterfall at the age of 15, and claims that she had tried to bring attention to the misogyny that exists in Hollywood long before the movement existed. However, the movement only made her a bigger punchline. Even when she attempted to branch out into more female-led projects, she was apparently met with similar ridicule. She claims to have never felt truly included in the movement, but believes in it nonetheless. Number 2, lied about LA. Celebrities indulge their stories all the time. Most careers are literally built on the foundation of lying for money. While Meghan may be great on screen, she's apparently a wonderful liar off screen as well. During an interview with GQ a while back, she detailed her wild nights out when she first moved to Los Angeles, detailing a specific club that she used to attend regularly called The Body Shop. Inside, she met a woman named Nikita and fell hard. Meghan explains that she would buy her things, frequent the establishments, and a few other steamy details that I can't get into. However, a few years later, the story was revealed to be heavily indulged by Meghan herself. herself. She said that the story was true, but she might have exaggerated some of the aspects for fun. For instance, she made it seem like the relationship between herself and Nikita was physical or romantic, but that just wasn't the case. She just had a crush and they got along. Simple as that. And at number 1, legendary. While in attendance at the highly anticipated battle between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 in 2021, Meghan made some observations about the former president, Donald Trump. During an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, she revealed that the entire audience was in awe of this man attending the event. She said that when he entered, it was to a ton of applause, and that he was surrounded by tons of Secret Service agents, to which she said Trump was the legend. Now, when news broke that Meghan called him a legend, there was a ton of backlash, but she quickly clarified what she meant with the statement. She said that she doesn't align herself with any political parties or individual politicians. She never said that Don was a legend. She said that his appearance at the arena was legendary, okay? She ended the statement by sarcastically saying that she appreciated the uneducated, medieval, pitchfork-carrying, burn a witch at the stake mentality that the world needs more of. Well said. Kim Kardashian sparks public outrage after being named GQ's Man of the Year. Well, it finally happened. Kim Kardashian became more confusing to the public than she already was. Kim was recently revealed to be the cover model for GQ's Men of the Year, sporting a black blazer, striped shirt, patterned necktie, and a bag of original Cheetos. Yeah, that last one confused me a bit too. Actually, if I'm being honest, this entire thing confuses me, and it turns out I'm not alone. In the few days that have passed since the cover made its way around the internet, there has been so much confusion surrounding this magazine cover. Comments beneath the Instagram posts range from, "Why is Kim Kardashian on this cover? Is she a man?" to, "This is a disgrace to all mankind." Of course, there are a lot of Kardashian fans who praise Kim for appearing on the cover. So the answer as to why Kim is on the cover as a Man of the Year is actually because of her latest business venture. Skims is a business that Kim got off the ground in 2019, and she claims that the company was born from a necessity. She was always having trouble finding clothes that matched her skin tone, quickly realizing that the companies that she would buy for would only sell their clothes in like 2 or 3 shades. According to Kim, she would literally buy white shapewear and toss them into a tub filled with coffee and tea. And that liquid was then bottled and then sold at auction. No, that didn't happen, but someone would definitely buy that. The world is terrible. Kim partnered up with power couple Jens and Emma Gred to create more options for women. The brand has been popular, featuring undergarments of all shapes and sizes and over 10 skin tones. In 2022, the company was named as one of the most influential companies ever. Skim recently announced that they would be expanding their clothes to include menswear, boxers, briefs, and beyond. That's a great name for a store, please don't take that from me. Kim being featured on the cover of a magazine celebrating the Men of the Year makes a little bit more sense when you realize that she may be on the verge of revolutionizing men's underclothes. The reception from the cover has been mainly negative, with people simply being upset that a woman is on a men's magazine cover. Forgetting about gender for a moment, the magazine celebrates things that men have done in 2023, and while there were a lot of good things that happened this year, there was also a lot of really shady, bad stuff. Also, whoever decided that a bag of Cheetos would make Kim look more manly is clearly not manly themselves, man. Give her a bag of Jack Link's beef jerky teriyaki style and then we'll talk. Cheetos are okay, but I don't know about you, I hate it when there's dust on my hands when I'm eating a snack. Skims has started to release lots of men's styles, including leggings, t-shirts, socks, briefs, all the fun stuff. The company is body positive and is releasing clothes in all shapes and sizes, so yeah, I'm gonna buy myself an extra large pair of boxers because I've got all the junk in this trunk. The prices are actually relatively decent, with the most expensive clothes being in the mid-50s, when the low end being in the mid-teens, so not too bad. Kim Kardashian's always been a public figure seen as one thing or another. She is either public enemy number 1 or just an innocent bystander. When it comes to being on the cover of a magazine for men, it's not a big deal. The photo is weird, again, Cheetos, not that manly. Take it from me, I'm wearing a Hamilton the Musical hoodie, the manliest musical ever made. Bam. Considering the things that men have done this year, it's fair. I feel like every other week there is a man in the news for doing something terrible. Justin Timberlake is at the top of the canceled list thanks to Britney Spears' memoir. Jonah Hill had his career called into question when an ex shared screenshots of controlling conversations between themselves. Danny Matheson, the guy from That 70s Show, was arrested and charged for doing terrible, heinous things to women. I could literally go on and on about the scandals involving men from this year. and I probably will in a separate video. But today, we're talking about Kim Kardashian and her calculated business moves. Kim and her family have actually tried time and time again to keep their fortune stable in an ever-changing world. Most of those ventures have worked out, but there have been a handful that just failed miserably, so let's chat about them. So for starters, the Kardashian crew actually tried to get their very own credit card off the ground. The Kardashian card with a K, cause Kardashians, they're so clever. The card was scrapped before it took off because the few people who actually signed up for it received outlandish fees every time they used it. Not to mention the card was aimed at young people who couldn't afford the fees and simply wanted to tell their friends that they had a Kardashian-themed credit card. Another failed venture that really needs to be mentioned is Quick Trim. Quick Trim was a product released in 2009 and it absolutely tanked. Khloe, Kim, and Kourtney got together and became the spokeswomen for a diet supplement because, you know how reliable those are. By 2012, the three were named in a $5 million class action lawsuit against Quick Trim, accusing them of false and deceptive marketing. Unfortunately, if people want to lose weight fast, this is not the way you do it. A lot of people know it rarely works. Walking for an hour a day is much better for your health. The sisters also partnered to create a line of self-tanning kits that included a self-tanning gel. Yeah, you were supposed to take sticky orange paste and lather it all over yourself to get that Kardashian glow. Yeah, no one was willing to slime themselves up to look like that, so the product was quickly discontinued and taken off the shelves. In 2011, the family decided to open a store in Las Vegas, Nevada to sell merchandising to casino goers. You know, people who probably just lost all of their money, give them a Kim keychain, they'll be fine. Problem solved. Sometimes they would actually appear at the store for meet and greets, but that was once in a while. So the store lost its novelty and they were forced to close down in 2014. Oh, and also they tried to be authors for a hot minute. It's worth mentioning that two Kardashian clan members decided to team up for this novel. Rebel City of Indra is a fictional story taking place in a world of the far future in the city of Indra, a world with two faces, a floating paradise and a nightmare on the ground. The book was written by the team of Kylie and Kendall Jenner and was meant to be the next big young adult book like Maze Runner or The Hunger Games. That's something they actually wanted to happen. Instead, what the world received was a literal pile of trash that apparently contains interwoven stories that make no sense, a really bad and cringy twist, and it's only 342 pages long. Only. This steampunk-centric novel was not the fantasy feature for the young Jenners that they were hoping. The reviews for this book are dreadful. Even people who have been following this family since day one didn't like it. I unfortunately have not had the chance to read it yet before I wrote this part of this script, so please be kind to me if it is a good book. I am going to buy it very soon. I just want to know how terrible it truly is and if it's worth adapting into a miniseries. I can't imagine it is, but it might. While some of their business ventures have failed, there is no denying that there have been a lot of successes as well. But even those successes are caked with deception and evil. For instance, Kylie Jenner, the youngest of the Kardashian clan, is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between cosmetic brand that she made and Ulta, a beauty salon company. This would allow the brand, previously only available online or in random pop-ups, to actually be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores, which is unfortunate because the true nature of where these products come from is so dark, it's so bad. A lot of employees at the factory that mix and package these makeups and beauty products have reported that they were never given any proper safety equipment to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, safety goggles, which meant their hands and faces were completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines, chemical burns on their hands, all the fun stuff. And if that's not bad enough, they were also forced to be human test subjects for Kylie's new products. Now, she's very proud of her company not testing things on animals, but can we agree that people, that's just way worse? You shouldn't do that. But Kylie isn't even close to the meanest of the bunch. Kim is an absolute menace to the people that work for her. This woman has 4 kids, a skincare line, Skims, now men and women styles. She did law school, co-founded an equity team, hopped on the podcast train, so many things in addition to filming the new show that she has on Hulu. So you might be asking yourself, how does this one woman do all of that by herself? Of course she doesn't. She pays people to do it for her. She has multiple assistants and nannies who help her stay above this overwhelming workload, but she's been known to treat them as lesser than herself. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch with their nannies, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table away from them, but she is known to make her nannies walk 10 feet away from them at all times, unless she has multiple people with her at once, and then she likes to make them walk in like a flying V formation because it looks cool. If they walked near her or attempted to walk side by side, she apparently blows up on them. Needless to say, she's had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. But while Kim might not be the best boss in the world, it's actually Kourtney who's known as the absolute worst. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it should be, but she's also known for being surprisingly cheap. She even once called a grocery store while she was still shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney Kardashian. But this isn't the worst thing she's ever done. At one point, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to act properly, she berated the nanny, telling her that she should have said something to her daughter. Because yes, blame the woman that you're paying to raise your kids instead of the kid itself, who probably has abandonment issues, Kourtney. While the Kardashians have had problems with their staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait that this family shares as a unit. They don't like to pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages and no overtime. The Kardashians don't cover basic things. Basic expenses like gas, food, rent, everything is out of the employee's pocket with zero money coming back to them. To make matters worse, the Kardashians would not pay them on a set amount of days, meaning that you just got paid when you got paid and had to deal with it. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the entire world that they would at least pay people that help them run their lives. While they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their kids, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if the staff decided to walk out on this family. They would crumble in less than a day. Number 10, the community cast. Kicking off our list is a group effort. Chevy Chase was a popular man thanks to National Lampoon and Saturday Night Live, but he returned to the mainstream when he starred as Pierce Hawthorne on the hit sitcom Community. Now, I personally loved this show. Chevy Chase, not so much. And it would appear that his Community co-stars would agree with that statement. Around the middle of the show's runtime, Chevy started to complain about his co-stars, especially Donald Glover. It became apparent that he was more than just angry with Donald and was eventually fired for using racial slurs against him. According to Donald himself, aka Troy Barnes, Chevy would often make inappropriate jokes, either aimed at him or as a general way to disrupt a scene. Joel McHale told People that before he was fired, Chevy was complaining about his character on the show and how he was being portrayed. The entire cast reminded Chevy that there was no contract keeping him there, which may have been part of what set him off on set. His character was written out in truly humiliating fashion, with his life ending after feeding his geese too much, if you know what I mean. He was playing with his ding dong. Number 9, Tyrese Gibson. It's no longer a surprise to anyone on the planet that James Franco is a bad dude. His negative vibe can actually be traced back to 2005. James and Tyrese Gibson starred opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story followed Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent was, of course, Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of the film, James and Tyrese would regularly practice their choreography for their final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing when you just pretend to be someone else all the time, but it's different when you're literally punching your co-star for real. Instead of the normal film choreography allowing actors to fake hit each other, Franco was throwing real punches left and right without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and just asked him to lighten up, but Franco ignored him and continued to box his little heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defends himself by saying that he was aware that he made the set difficult at times and just claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably wasn't as friendly as he could be. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming that he'd never step foot in the same room as him ever again. Good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled, and Fast 11 is surely on its way. Maybe they'll go to Atlantis this time. Okay, why does that sound cool though? Number 8, Viola Davis. Now, the stories about Jared Leto and his acting methods are infamous. On almost every single set that he's been on, this dude has just caused some kind of issue. Someone made a very smart decision to keep Jared away from his castmates on the set of Haunted Mansion. That decision really should have been made though on the set of the long-forgotten 2016 Suicide Squad from DC Comics, when Jared played the Joker and took it just way too far. Now, I have mentioned the fact that he's left live animals in people's trailers and used adult skin tubes on their pillows, and many times in many other videos. For Amanda Waller, aka Viola Davis, she actually received an unwanted surprise that almost forced her to quit the gig. One day she returned to her trailer where she found a case filled with ammunition. Thousands of little metal life enders were just left there as a gift from Jared. Viola did not think this was a present. In fact, she thought that this was a threat. After speaking to her fellow castmates, she realized that it was just Jared leaving her a fun little gift, you know, just enjoy it. This was frightening to say the least, but for Viola, it set her off. When speaking about her time on the film, she has maintained that Jared was intense, and she's glad that she never had to be face to face with him on screen. Or maybe she was. Honestly, I try not to think about that movie very much. Number 7, Amy Hill. Yeah, baby! This one's shagadelic. Despite being a Canadian treasure and the man behind some comedy cult classics like Austin Powers and Wayne's World, Mike Myers is apparently a menace on set. According to his Cat in the Hat co-star Amy Hill, Mike had handlers dress his entire trailer and work area in tenting. Apparently, he didn't want anyone to physically see him. Honestly, that's fair. If I was in a cat suit with an actual plastic bum crack in it, I would want to hide too. His reputation as a difficult Donnie may have something to do with Hollywood basically blacklisting him from appearing as a lead in anything thanks to The Love Guru, which, again, I try not to think about that movie. Of course, he recently starred in his own show called The Pentaveret, which aired on Netflix, a show where he was forced to play half of the cast because he couldn't get more people to work with him. Or maybe it's because of The Love Guru. Honestly, it's a bad movie, who knows? Number 6, Latto. Latto debuted a new song at Coachella earlier this year, a catchy tune that a lot of fans are calling a direct diss towards Nicki Minaj. The big energy rapper provided fans with a fun dance track packed to the brim with shade. Rapping the lyrics, snitches acting like they're running it, they really ran through. She thought I would kiss her ash, but she mustn't have took her meds. Can you tell I'm not a rapper? Latto ended the song with several clues as to who the song was about, including some ad-libs like, say she got a problem, imaginary smoke, you said it's up, then put on the floor. I honestly would love to quote everything that she sang or said about Nicki, but it just does not sound right coming out of me. I mean, just listen to how I say the word snitch, like the true Harry Potter geek that I am. In the past, the two had a very public battle on Twitter with swear words and shade being thrown left and right. After Coachella in 2022, these two fell out even harder. An all-out verbal war had begun with the two now entangled in a lifelong feud that may never fade. Now, I'm not sure who the rude one is in this case. I will let you be the judge because you're probably a fan and I'm not. Number 5, George Takei. This one is for all of you Star Trek fans out there. Please just live long and prosper and enjoy this video. Now, the world will surely be well aware of this long-standing feud between William Shatner and his Star Trek co-star, George Takei. This feud has lasted over 50 years, and according to George, boils down to William being a prima donna attention hog the entire time he was on set. Over the years, George has always been very vocal about his opinion on his fellow Star Trek cast and crew. Most of the time, he has nothing but nice things to say and claims to have made lifelong friends from the project. But there is one that he despises: William Shatner. William Shatner was the bane of everyone's existence on set. He loved being the center of attention, and he was very self-involved. He wanted everyone to know who he was. William actually responded to these claims, telling people that he believed his Star Trek co-star was damaging his good name for publicity's sake. Why would a man who's barely acted in 30 years suddenly want to bash you for fame and glory? That doesn't make sense. I don't know if anyone's noticed or not, but William Shatner hasn't done much either in a while, other than petition to go to space for real. Number 4, Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne and Vin Diesel first met on the set of Fast, 5, the 5th Fast and Furious movie. They're really great with names. This was Vin Diesel's 5th movie, while it was Dwayne Johnson's first, not just in the franchise, but in acting in general. Now at first everything seemed to be okay with these guys. Fast 5 made a ton of money, and they asked Dwayne to come back for a 6th and 7th installment. However, something changed in 2016 when in a now deleted post called one of his fellow Fast 7 co-stars a candied bum bum, only he didn't say bum bum, man I wish I could swear. He actually said a word that rhymes with grass. Rumors began to fly that he was more than likely referencing Vin Diesel, rumors proven true only a week later. Following the premiere of Fate of the Furious, Johnson posted to Instagram thanking all of his fellow cast members by name, but he left Vin Diesel out of it. It was later confirmed by Michelle Rodriguez, their co-star, that there was a massive amount of tension on set. They were bros at first, but as time went on, the franchise evolved, and so did their egos. They fought constantly over who should get more screen time, more money, who was the real lead, you know, toxic stuff like that. To keep both of the actors happy, Johnson was given a spin-off movie where he co-starred with Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel was left right where he belongs with his family. Number 3, Meryl Streep. Dustin Hoffman is a very easy man to spot. Not only is he a solid actor, but he has a very specific face. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, anyone? Huh? Remember that movie? I didn't until I started writing this script, and I'm gonna go watch it tonight. Despite his ability to play lovable and cheerful characters, he actually started out as somewhat of a villain. On the second day of filming his more famous part in Kramer vs. Kramer, Dustin decided to improvise a scene where he strikes Meryl Streep across the face. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Dustin Hoffman thought it'd be a good idea to slap Meryl Streep. Mamma mia, that's not okay. Get it? Because she was in Mama? I'm just gonna move on. Not only was Meryl shocked by the move, but she recalled that Dustin was also trying to use a tactic on her called emotional recall, taunting her about her late partner, John Cazale, and his illness. So just extra level of evil from Dusty. Number 2, Freddie Prinze Jr. Kiefer Sutherland is known for his roles in movies like Lost Boys and Stand By Me, and has built a nice little nest egg for himself. For a long time, he was starring in the crime drama 24. Many celebrities have made small cameos and reoccurring roles on the show, but in 2010, Scooby-Doo alumni Freddie Prinze Jr. was casted as Agent Cole Ortiz. Despite the massive success of the show, the job left him scarred, admitting that he hated every moment of it. According to Freddie, Kiefer Sutherland is the most unprofessional person in the entire world. He continued to say that he wasn't talking trash. This was something that he would say happily to Kiefer's face. Apparently, a ton of his co-stars agree that he makes filming a living nightmare. Following the end of his character's time on the show, he did slow down in the acting world, now limiting himself to voiceover and cameo roles. The odd thing was that while there was some people backing up Freddie's story, there were actually a higher number of defenders for Sutherland, claiming the exact opposite was happening. Some say he's the most professional man in the world, so if anyone watching this knows Kiefer, weigh in, write hashtag Kiefer good or hashtag Kiefer bad, and see what happens. Number 1, Rachel McAdams. The Notebook is considered to be a great romantic movie, one of the greatest of all time, in fact. Oddly enough, the on-screen couple did not get along at all while filming. Rachel McAdams and her co-star Ryan Gosling would constantly fight on set and seem to have completely opposite ideas on how most of the scenes should play out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone not involved, all the drama watchers on set enjoying their free tea. Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel be replaced by another actress to read her lines. In front of 150 crew members, Ryan Gosling was claiming that Rachel wasn't giving him anything, and the two would constantly yell at each other. Their toxic on-set feud somehow morphed into a real-life relationship that lasted for like 2 years. Anyone who's worked on the set of this film blames them for constant schedule setbacks and creating an overall difficult work environment. So honestly, we don't know who the meanest one was there, Rachel or Ryan. You be the judge.
Starting off our list, at number 10 is Rachel Ray. The celebrity chef and TV personality has her own daily talk show where her fans book tickets to her show on a daily basis so that they can be a part of the live experience. But apparently her personality differs when you see her live compared to when she's behind your screen. On TV, Rachel's personality is bright and friendly, but one fan who attended the live show said differently. A fan took her personal review to TripAdvisor and rated her experience a 1 star out of 5. Her review had a whole story of her experience, and in it she stated, "When she came out to greet the audience, she was cold, even seemingly annoyed that she had to do the show. She complained, she rolled her eyes, and was not at all the perky, spunky personality we have come to know on her show." The fan went on to say that she also treated her staff poorly by saying things to them like, "use your head." Honestly, in my opinion, my only advice is to just go see Ellen next time. You always know you're gonna have a good time at Ellen DeGeneres' show. Moving on to number 9, we have Mike Myers. Fame must have gone to his head from the success of his movies because the director for Cat in the Hat opened up and revealed a story of him being a complete diva and demanding ridiculous things. She did an interview back in 2008 and explained that while filming the movie with Mike, she often found it difficult to perk up his dark mood. She told the story that the actor actually stormed off set because he was infuriated that there was no margarine for his bagel. Only butter. Sources said the actor was so angry because he suffered from hypoglycemia, but that was later cleared up by the actor's rep, who confirmed that he doesn't. The movie's director went on to say, he was emotionally needy and got more difficult as the shoot went on. She admitted that she actually put her young daughter in charge of making sure that he had whatever snack he needed at any given moment. Margarine and butter are not that different. Like, literally not that different. Sliding into number 8 is Sandra Bullock. You're probably a little surprised to hear her name on this list because you don't see the actress making negative headlines very often. However, there have been some reported stories that suggest her celebrity status may have gone to her head a little bit. Back in 2012, a woman came forward and told Star magazine that Sandra was one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Turns out that she had a run-in with the actress while she was out with her husband, who was a veteran in a wheelchair. She was filming her movie The Heat in Boston at the time and was on a film break when she ran into her on the streets. Denise said that her husband asked Sandra for an autograph, but she covered her face and yelled at him. It's hard to believe that side of her since we're used to seeing her play a character like the compassionate mother in The Blind Side, but it is not the only story online that exposes her for being rude to her fans. I did some research. She's got some sass. In spot number 7 is Robert Pattinson. The Twilight actor is actually known to have a sour attitude, so I am personally not stunned by this information because I've heard it so many times. He's been recorded on multiple occasions dissing his own Twilight movies and also the author who wrote the original novels. I don't really get how someone rips on the thing that made them rich and famous. Doesn't really make sense to me. But people were still a little surprised to see his negative attitude towards his fans, seeing as those are the people pretty much supporting your entire career. When he was interviewed for the German edition of Interview magazine, he spoke about his wild fan base and he questioned what his Twilight fans do with their time all day. He said, "Sometimes I ask myself what these masses of people do the whole day. They sit in front of their computers and comment on anything having even remotely to do with Twilight." He also referred to his fans as a crap group of crazies during an interview with Howard Stern. He seems like a lovely man. Rolling into the number 6 spot is Lea Michele. This one is all based on personal opinion because ever since she skyrocketed into fame from her role on Glee, she's come across as a really sweet girl. During interviews, in public with her fans, she just appears to have a good heart. But in 2017, she was titled as rude after walking off the set of Good Morning America. The big debate is, her interview was over when she decided to just shake Philip and Holly's hand and then walk off set. Apparently, normally the celebrity guests will chit chat with them during the commercial break and then leave, but she quickly got up, just shook their hand and then peaced. Fans started tweeting out that it was rude. I personally don't find this rude at all. She could have had somewhere to go, maybe she was in a rush. In my opinion, she smiled, she thanked them, and she left. I don't see a problem with that. However, fans said that it was rude. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Halfway through at number 5, we got Adam Levine. There are a lot of stories out there of people complaining that he isn't a friendly person in real life compared to what we see in the media. You can actually see his personality come through as a judge on The Voice, which he refuses to apologize for. He basically has zero chill and just says things how it is. But one story he's become famously known for is the time when one of his fans asked him for an autograph and he called her ugly instead. The story went viral online after a fan said that she was really excited to meet him, but when she asked for his autograph, he responded with, "I don't give autographs to ugly chicks." Now, it is her word against his, of course, but if that is true, you have to have quite the ego to think that you can say that to someone. Taking over our 4th spot is Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's been reported that she was once extremely rude to an 8-year-old girl who was excited to talk to her about acting. It is no surprise that young girls admire or idolize the actress, many of them hoping to probably be like her one day. But one 8-year-old fan shared her story a few years later, explaining the awkward moment she met her and left completely devastated. Turns out the young girl had the chance to meet her and told her that her dreams were to become an actress. She said, "Catherine turned to me, looked me up and down, and said, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," and then went back to her conversation. "I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." I mean, I don't even know how you respond like that. Like, some kids like, "I want to be an actress," my first thought wouldn't be like, "Are you pretty enough?" That's terrible. Alright guys, in our third spot is Conor McGregor. I think we can name a few different occasions where fame has gone to the fighter's head. Despite his talent and skill, no one can deny that he has one of the biggest egos in the league. He has a massive fan base, which is a huge part of the reason for his success and fame, but there's been times where he's lashed out on them for taking his picture. One example is when he was arrested and charged in February 2019 after taking a man's phone and smashing it on the ground to destroy it. Conor was walking outside of a hotel in Miami when a fan began to take pictures of him on his phone. He saw the cameras flash and immediately snatched the phone, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and then picked it up and carried it away. The whole thing was caught on tape and the man filed a lawsuit against him to sue him for battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. He demanded $15,000 for repairs, but the two of them were able to reach a settlement. You know what, if someone did that to my phone, I might have emotional distress too. Winning over the number 2 spot is Michael Jordan. The basketball legend has a handful of stories against him that claim he is just plain mean. One of them comes from the rapper Chamillionaire, who was thrilled to meet his basketball hero back in 2009. He says he crossed paths with Jordan at a party after spending $7,000 for one of his jerseys at a charity auction event before the party started. He says that he saw Jordan posing for pictures with some ladies at the party, so he felt that it would not be a problem to ask for one himself. He approached Jordan, who was sitting next to Spike Lee and Paul Pierce, and asked for a picture. According to the rapper, he responded with a racist term and said that he is not taking pictures with him. He tried to explain to him that he is a huge fan and paid $7,000 for one of his jerseys, and Jordan got mad and said, I quote, "You know what, I tell you what, you pay $150,000 right now for a jersey for me and I will take a picture with you." If that doesn't say that fame has gone to your head, then I don't know what does. And in case you're wondering, Sham the man never got a picture or an apology. Sniping the number 1 spot is Christian Bale. It's hard to forget about his epic freakout moment on set that was caught on tape back in 2009. If for some reason you haven't seen it, during the filming of the Terminator movie, video footage leaked which captured the actor going off on this crazy rant on one of the crew members. You can actually hear the actor yell and cuss for a few minutes at the crew member, who apparently walked behind him while he was filming the scene. You can hear the crew member explain himself and say that he was actually just looking at one of the lights because it's his job. But the actor just continues to cuss at him and calls him an amateur, telling him to stay off the effing set. The fight continued to escalate and he even threatens to kick his ass and trash his lights. He also went as far as saying that he will quit the movie if the crew member continues to work there. The audacity that Christian Bale has to act like that, I will be damned. He literally was yelling at him for doing his job. In the number 10 spot is Shaquille O'Neal. Back in 2014, he made headlines after posting a mocking selfie on Instagram next to a picture of a man with a rare genetic disease. The man is Jamel Binion, a regular guy living in Michigan who lives with ectodermal dysplasia, which affects his teeth and his hair. He ended up suing Shaq for $25,000 in damages for emotional distress. In his lawsuit, he claims offensive communications for sharing that photo with more than 8.4 million people worldwide, his followers obviously, and said that it was an invasion of privacy, defamation, and general negligence. Shaq did issue an apology after the lawsuit came, both privately and publicly. He actually tweeted, "Made a new friend today when I called and apologized to Jamel Binion. Great dude, hashtag my bad cuz." Fans were not really impressed with this post in the first place and pointed out that he only thought he'd get away with it because of his celebrity status. Like, no one would ever post that. I don't even know why you thought that that was okay. Coming in at number 9 is Gene Simmons. Some people would say he looks scary with all the makeup he wears as one of the KISS members, but I'm sure it would surprise people to learn that he is rude to the elderly. Apparently. This whole thing started when Modern Family star Eric Stonestreet shared a series of texts from his mom back in 2014. She texted him saying, "I think Gene Simmons is on my flight. Do you think I should go give him a kiss?" Get it? Turns out she's a fan of his and wanted his autograph, but before she could even ask for one, Simmons tried to force her to give up her seat. Eric shared the text from his mom, who explained that he tried to bully her out of her seat when she said no, and made comments like, "It's okay, I just bought the plane," clearly trying to use his fame and money as a tactic to make her move. But she did not. You stay there, girlfriend. You stay in that seat. Swiping the number 8 spot is Jennifer Lawrence. Does it count as fame gone to your head if you admit that you're rude to your fans on purpose? From the outside perspective, her fans are saying that she is cold to them in person, but from her side, she has intentions behind it. During an interview, the actress admitted to being rude to her fans and said it's how she keeps her defense up. She said, "Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge They say, 'Can I have a selfie?' And I'm like, no. I think that people think we are already friends because I am famous and they feel like they know me, but I don't know them. I have to protect my bubble." She went on to explain that when someone takes a picture of her and then posts it, within 2 seconds they've basically created a marker of her location. Which is totally true. Like, I can totally understand her perspective. I feel like I see both sides to it, but what do you guys think? Has the fame gone to her head? Or is she aware of the fame and this is her way of making sure that it doesn't go to her head? I don't know. In spot number 7 is Sean Penn. It's hard to forget this story because it made news headlines, but maybe you need a refresher, or maybe this will be your first time hearing about it. Back in 2013, the actor flipped out on a fan in an upscale San Francisco hotel who took a picture of him on a cell phone. His entire explosive rant was captured and the footage surfaced online. Sean was at the hotel lobby bar when he saw a flash go off from the fan's cell phone. He lunges at the guy and screamed, "Do we look like effing zoo animals?" He probably did the head bobble there too. He then snatches the phone from the fan's hand and then slammed it to the ground and threatened that he would make him eat his cell phone if he didn't get the F out of there. The actor did not stop there though. He actually went and complained to the hotel management. The worst part about the story is that later on we learned that the fan actually attended the sales conference where Sean was speaking at. He even had his name tag on his shirt at the time of the altercation. Like, bruh, just let him take a picture of you. Cruising into the 6th spot is Kevin James. The King of Queens star seems like a huge teddy bear in the series, but supposedly he is not the nicest person in real life. Someone came forward and said that he was a waiter for him one time when he asked him if he wanted anything to drink. The actor responded with, "You were told not to speak to me." Apparently, Kevin's security guards went in first and told the waiters and staff to stay a certain distance from him. But the actor spoke on it and denied the story, saying that it is just a rumor. He spoke on it while doing an interview with Jimmy Fallon and said, "Can we check the facts on this one? If there was ever honestly a situation when I needed someone's undivided attention, it's gonna be when I'm ordering food from a restaurant." I mean, he does make a good point. But the question is he just covering up the story because he looked bad? We don't know the full truth, but if the waiter is telling the truth, that is some crazy diva stuff happening there. Like, to get your security guards to go into the restaurant first and let everyone know, like, don't look him in the eyes and don't go near him. That's a bit much. Halfway through the list is Roseanne Barr. She had her own TV series titled Roseanne, which ran through the years 1988 to 2018 with a total of 229 episodes. So to say she is famous is an understatement. But it all seemed like that all went to her head when she started to tweet out racist remarks against Barack Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett. She referred to her as a child of the Muslim Brotherhood and something from Planet of the Apes. I mean, I feel like you have to feel pretty confident in your position in Hollywood to feel like you can say that and not have any kind of repercussion from it. ABC called an emergency meeting immediately, and just a few hours later her show was cancelled. She issued an apology, but at the same time she also defended herself by saying that she is a comedian and sometimes people get offended by jokes. Which is true, people do get easily offended by jokes. However, not quite appropriate, very insensitive, and just not right. We've made it to number 4 and we have Miles Teller. He had a promising career for many years, but people saw a different side to him in 2015 and one that they didn't really like. He did an interview with Esquire and for some reason he thought it'd be appropriate to tell the female writer and their waitress that the bar glass was modeled after his private parts, if you know what I'm saying. He obviously used a much more like vulgar term, but for the sake of this channel being shut down, I am not gonna say it. You guys know what I mean. He also had a really sassy attitude and tried to demand the writer to cut his meat for him when their food came. But after the interview came out, he voiced his side saying that things were changed around. He told Vulture, I quote, "If how that story made me look is how I really was, I'd think I was the biggest douchebag too. I know who I am and it's not who I was in that story." So, who do we trust? That is the question. In our third spot is Pierce Brosnan. At first glance, you probably wouldn't think that he could be a rude man. His good looks, talent, and charm won over the hearts of many people when he played James Bond in the late 90s. But people's opinions may have changed after talk show host and comedian James Corden revealed that he was rude when he ran into him. While playing a game on his own talk show in 2017, he was asked who the rudest celebrity is that he ever met, and Pierce was his answer. James said he went to see U2 and Pierce was there with some of his friends and they left halfway through. So James, who was with his wife at the time, moved into that area. As we all do. But then Pierce came and apparently pushed James out of the way, and James tried to say hi and explain what was happening, but I guess Pierce just put up his arm to block him and wouldn't even acknowledge him. Making our way to number 2, we have Faye Dunaway. The Academy Award winner has been in hot water on many occasions throughout her career for her bizarre and disrespectful behavior. Most recently in 2019, she was fired from her Broadway play, Tea at 5, because of her erratic demands on set. Apparently, she was throwing objects at crew members, slapping members of her wig fitting team. She also threw one of her salads on the floor and also insisted that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. But things got even worse and she got sued by one of her assistants, Michael Rocca, who claims she verbally harassed him and referred to him as a little homosexual boy. His job was to run around and take care of things that she demanded each day, and he turned in audio evidence of her abuse, where she often used his sexual orientation to demean and humiliate him. I don't know if that's fame gone to your head or if that's just you're just plain not a good person. Taking our number 1 spot is Bob Dylan. It's not totally surprising to think that the Nobel Prize winner might have a bit of an ego. I mean, that is quite the award to win. I might be feeling pretty good if I won that too. There has been a variety of reported incidents where he has come off as a diva. One stagehand who worked on his show said that he is famous for threatening to get them fired if any stagehands make eye contact with him. The employee said, "We aren't allowed to be around when he's playing since we didn't pay for tickets, even though it can take days to set up his show." And you know that Nobel Prize I told you that he won? Well, one Nobel Academy member came forward and called him impolite and arrogant after he refused to pick up their phone calls after the award was announced. I mean, I don't want to assume that he wasn't answering their calls on purpose, but I do understand you probably should have put some effort into answering their phone calls, seeing as you're about to win the Nobel Prize award. Yeah, and as for the show, come on. Can you imagine hiding your music from the people who are setting up your entire show? You can't be near me, you didn't buy a ticket. Bruh, you don't have a stage to perform on if it's not for me. Imagine that. Starting us up at number 10 is Terrence Howard. He scored a part in one of the biggest movie franchises in the world after joining the first Iron Man movie cast. It was reported that he got a salary of $3.5 million with the promise of an extra $5 million if a sequel was going to happen, which it was. But that is when things turned sour because the actor was demanding more money and says that he took a $1 million pay cut and then blamed his co-star for it, Robert Downey Jr. Terrence claims that he persuaded Marvel to hire Robert in the first place when they were first casting for Iron Man, and then when his character was going to be cut down in the sequel, he reached out to Robert for help. But apparently, Robert did not return his calls. He didn't respond well to it and got fired from the franchise, claiming that he basically gave Robert Downey Jr. $100 million. As if he didn't earn that with his performance. Up next, number 9 is Christina Aguilera. It's no surprise anymore that some celebrities grow an ego after they achieve fame, but I personally did not expect it from this girl. In the media, she comes off super down to earth and kind, but one actor opened up about a negative experience with her that might prove her fame has gone to her head. Remember Damien from the movie Mean Girls? You know, the too gay to function best friend? Remember the scene where he sings Christina's song Beautiful in the talent show? Well, he had a chance to meet her and was obviously super excited to have that little bonding moment, as anyone would be, but apparently Christina wanted no part of it and wasn't nice about it either. He told Yahoo Movies that she was so rude, and when he met her and shared that scene with her, she said she never saw it and just walked away. Swiping the number 8 spot is Chris Brown. You know your ego is high when you're storming off the Good Morning America set during the middle of an interview, all because you didn't like the question they asked you. This happened back in 2011 when he walked out of the on-air interview, ripped off his shirt like the Hulk, and then smashed a studio window backstage. Apparently he feels like he can act that way because of his celebrity status. But we all know he thinks highly of himself just based off things that he has said. In 2013, during an interview with The Guardian, he said, "I just think I'm a walking art piece, just a ball of creativity." A walking art piece? Listen, I think it is one thing to call yourself like a creative human being. That's great. I'm creative as well, but I'm not gonna call myself a piece of art or a walking art piece. Next up is Rihanna. Is it a coincidence that she's following her ex-boyfriend on this list? Maybe. Back in 2012, she was making strange headlines, one of them saying, "Should Rihanna go to rehab and does she have narcissistic personality disorder?" If you don't believe me, just Google it. This is a headline. People were diagnosing her, and the disorder is defined as a constant need for attention and admiration. The articles were even saying that Jay-Z threatened to drop her from his label if she didn't go to rehab. In more recent years, one interviewer brought up the fact that her Instagram was filled with a ton of selfies. She said she had an obsession with self-portraits and said, I quote, "It may be narcissistic, but whatever." I mean, you do you, girl. If I looked like Rihanna, I would probably post selfies all the time too. But hey. Moving along to number 6 is Charlie Sheen. His entire career was riding on his hit TV show 2.5 Men, where he was titled the highest paid actor at the time. He was earning $1.8 million an episode, just to put it into some perspective for you. But apparently the fame and success he was receiving fueled his ego, and he demanded a raise. A raise from $1.8 million. It wasn't just like a dinky little raise either. He wanted a 50% raise from the show, and when he got declined, he got angry. He started to publicly insult the creator Chuck Lorre and was dismissed from the series. Later down the road, he was asked if he would ever return, and he said only if he was paid $3 million an episode. He also said, "They owe me a big one," publicly, while they lick my feet. Classy man. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Kathy Griffin. The comedian slash actress has had a very successful career, which might be why she thought that she would get away with a joke back in 2017. Well, I'm not really sure if I can even call it a joke, but whatever. Back in 2017, she decided to team up with Tyler Shields to do a very controversial photo shoot of her holding a decapitated, bloody head of Donald Trump. The image was so real and graphic that sites actually had to blur it and block it, and same with news stations who were covering the story. When she first posted it to Twitter and saw people's horrified reactions, she began to tweet out that she went too far and she will be removing the picture. She took down the picture and apologized for offending people. But months later, she took her apology back and told the Rolling Stone, I quote, "I'm not sorry, I take the apology back 1000%. In 2019, she actually came out with a TV movie called A President Show Documentary, The Fall of Donald Trump. Is this too far? Let me know in those comments. Cruising into number 4 is Snooki. I was a big fan of hers when she started on Jersey Shore, but she had a bit of a diva moment that a lot of people didn't think was justifiable. Back in 2011, she was appearing at an event held by the Rutgers University in New York, and she demanded an extremely high pay of $32,000. The spokesman for the school said that the students are the ones who canvassed for who they wanted to bring in for the budget and funds that they had for a special guest. While some fans were thrilled, other students were furious that their tuition money was going towards paying her to be at the event. She was actually paid $2,000 more than Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison, who was to speak at their graduation. One student said, "The fact that our school spent more money on her than Toni Morrison is a little ludicrous. Snooki has no accomplishments or achievements that are worth that money." Although I personally feel that that is a little harsh, many people online agreed. Taking over the number 3 spot is another Jersey Shore star, Mike Sorrentino, also known as The Situation. The show found immediate fame and his persona became a fan favorite. But his fame, money, and success all seemed to go to his head because he felt like he was in a position where he did not need to pay his taxes. He was first busted back in 2014 after he failed to pay taxes on $8.9 million in income. It wasn't until 2018 that he actually received his punishment and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. He was also ordered to pay $123,913 in restitution, as well as a criminal fine of $10,000. Mike has learned his lesson and actually admitted that he deserved to be punished like everyone else despite his celebrity status, and he is in a much different place than he was back then, so maybe we can be forgiving for this one. Coming in like a wrecking ball at number 2 is Miley Cyrus. She has been a controversial topic for years now. She's not everyone's cup of tea, but she honestly doesn't seem to care. I personally am a huge fan of hers, rumors, but the internet seems to feel a different type of way. Her wild behavior is no secret, and some people think she only acts that way because of her ego and her position in Hollywood. I mean, I'd be lying if I said she hasn't gotten away with a lot of behavior that in the real world we would probably be arrested for. Like the time she was caught doing sexual acts with Stella Maxwell at a gas station. Now in real life, you'd be arrested. Instead, Miley gets her picture taken and she can just kind of laugh it off. I get where people are coming from when they claim that the fame has gone to her head. I don't know what she's like in real life, but to be honest, I wish I did. I wish I was her friend. Winning the #1 spot in our countdown is James Franco. His fame seems to have gone to his head, but in a more serious and concerning way. We often hear about celebrities using their power of fame as a tool to get their way. 5 years ago, he did this when he was trying to rent a hotel room with an underage girl. Screenshots surfaced showing that she admits to being 17, and he actually confirms his celebrity status with her by sending her pictures with her name written on a sign. This wasn't the last time that this happened though. He is currently in a lawsuit after being sued by 2 of his former acting school students who claim that he used his power to sexually exploit them. I think there's more to it than just fame going to his head, but I don't think we can deny that it has something to do with it. Power is a powerful thing. In our #10 spot is John Mayer. No one can deny the fact that he has the voice of a God-sent angel. I mean, my Lanta, that man can sing. He also is not hard on the eyes either. By 2010, he dated Jessica Simpson, Taylor Swift, and Jennifer Aniston. He's always been a ladies' man, and that might be part of the reason for his big ego. During his interview with Playboy, he revealed way too much personal information about his famous relationships and also called his private part a white supremacist. And when I say he has an ego, I am not just like assuming this off my own opinion. The singer himself has actually admitted that. When describing himself during an interview, he called himself a recovered ego addict. Although the recovered part is still very questionable. But I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he is working on it. Up next, #9 is Ariana Grande. For years now, the pop star has been accused countless times for having diva behavior. But each time, Ariana has stuck up for herself and said, I quote, "A lot of times, women are labeled as a or a diva for having a vision and being strong and using their voice, and it's just not the case." But some of her newer singles didn't really help her case. People online called her out for her single called 7 Rings, which came across as incredibly egotistical and insensitive for her split from her fiance, Pete Davidson. The lyrics write about her success and money, and also make a reference to her failed engagement. She sings that she isn't going to be a missus anymore, and instead bought 6 rings for her female friends, which is actually a true story. She revealed to her fans that she got drunk off champagne at Tiffany's with her friends and left the store with 7 rings, and then went home that afternoon and wrote the song. That sounds like a lot of friends. I wish my friends would take me to Tiffany's and buy me a ring. Get drunk. Cruising into #8 is Justin Bieber. Before his epic return this year, he was off the radar for some time, and his haters didn't seem to mind. Obviously. And although some of his fans were thrilled about his new song Yummy, other people lost respect for him because of it. The song and music video had mixed reviews, but that wasn't the issue. It seemed like the fame had kind of gone to his head a little bit with this album, because he started telling fans to cheat the chart results. Justin posted a guide to his Instagram story giving them strategies on how to cheat the system and push his single to the #1 on the charts. He told them to create a Spotify playlist of just his song and then basically play it on repeat while they sleep. Some people called him out, saying that it was so desperate for him to try and manipulate the charts rather than just getting valid feedback from his fans. But it just seemed like he wanted that #1 spot so bad. In spot #7 is Paris Hilton. She's had many diva moments throughout her career, and some would say that the fame went to her head when she built her dogs a mini mansion. Back in 2017, she tweeted out a picture of it and said that it has air conditioning, heating, designer furniture, and a chandelier. That sounds nicer than anything I've ever owned in my condo. I love how she had to let everyone know that the furniture is designer. She didn't just say furniture. She had to say designer furniture. You could tell that she enjoys the fame, because when an interviewer brought up the fact that maybe it was lacking, she got mad and walked out of the interview. The interviewer asked if she ever gets worried that her moment has passed.
You want to wrap up? When I was curious about one thing, going back to
What followed was a long, heated conversation.
Sliding into number 6 is Mariah Carey. On many occasions, she has been defined as a diva, from her different public feuds to her legendary MTV Cribs episode. She has done some things that could give her this title. I think it would depend on who you ask though. But if you ask Will Ferrell, he will give you some examples of how the fame has gone to her head, because that is exactly what he did during an interview. In 2017, he did an interview on Watch What Happens Live and shared that Mariah was supposed to have a cameo in his film called The House. He's not usually the gossipy type, but he revealed that she showed up on set 4 hours late and then started to demand certain things, including the refusal of doing a scene which she had approved of beforehand. She was removed from the film, and Will's co-star Cedric Yarbrough called Mariah, I quote, "unprofessional and borderline abusive to our director." That is not a good look, my friend. We're halfway through at number 5 and we got Nicolas Cage. He was huge during the 90s, starring in one hit after another. He was titled one of the biggest actors in Hollywood at the time, making a reported $20 million per movie. CNBC actually reported that at one point he was worth $150 million, which almost seems like totally unfair. Like, no one deserves that amount of money. Like, not one person. But it looks like the fame and money went to his head, because reports show that he started spending it all like crazy. He owned 15 multi-million-dollar homes across the globe, one of which was a $3.4 million haunted mansion in New Orleans. He also bought 2 castles in Europe, apparently, but all of his spending has left him with some financial struggles now. And let's not forget, he actually owed $40 million at one point because he did not pay the IRS. Here now at number 4 is Tana Mongeau. She is now one of the biggest female YouTubers on the platform, but over time her fans have turned into haters, and it is because of her growing ego. When she first started YouTube, people praised her for being different because she was always so relatable with her audience. Like, you could tell she was just super down to earth, and she often joked about how broke she was, making light of basically every hard situation. But ever since she gained fame, she's just been very different. She brags about her money, photoshops all of her pictures, and let's not forget about the Mercedes-Benz she bought and the Las Vegas wedding she had in 2019. Which she admitted later on that it was all for clout. It was fake. I mean, to stage an entire engagement and wedding all for money and attention, you know that fame has gone to your head. That is so much effort and time and money, and I ain't got time for any of that. I don't even have the money for it, but I'm just saying, that is a lot of effort for some attention. In our 3rd spot is John and Kate plus 8. Well, without the 8, and without John, so basically just Kate. The couple found success with their TLC show called John and Kate plus 8. The show followed the Pennsylvania parents around with their set of twins and set of sextuplets, and what it's like trying to raise 8 kids. But things started to go downhill when both John and Kate were accused of having an affair on each other. You would think once the show ended that their careers would too, but nope. Kate wanted to keep that success and was determined. So she continued on by herself with her own reality TV show called Kate plus 8. She just axed John right out of there. But once that was over, she also went on to do another show called Kate plus Date, where her daughters help her find her next man, which is slightly uncomfortable for me. Taking over our number 2 spot is Kanye West. I mean, do I really need to explain this one? Probably not, but I will. Kanye West has an ego, and we have seen it on many occasions. Like the time he stole the mic and interrupted Taylor Swift's award speech, or the time he went on a rant at TMZ and stormed around the entire office, or the time that he called himself God, or maybe the time he said that if he runs for president, he will be elected because he has that control and power. I feel like this list could go on for a while, but even just taking a look at his Twitter page, you get to be a witness to all of that. He is famous for his Twitter rants, which are actually wildly entertaining. Winning our number 1 spot is Amber Heard. It appears that fame went to her head to a point far above everyone else on this list. Maybe you've seen all the crazy headlines lately, but to sum it up for you, the actress was married to iconic actor Johnny Depp, but filed for divorce in May 2016 and showed up to the Los Angeles courthouse with a bruised face, claiming that he threw a cell phone at her face and is abusive. Since then, it has been this huge ongoing lawsuit between the two of them. She claims he is a monster who abused her and threatened to kill her, and he says that she's making all of it up to ruin his career and to get a hefty paycheck. He has actually gone completely broke because of this and has filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against her, revealing surveillance video that proves her face wasn't bruised after their alleged fight the day she went to court. But I have an update. He may have just won his case after photos and audio footage surfaced where she admits to hitting him. Hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp is trending worldwide, and fans are hoping that he will get his justice in court in August 2020. I'm hoping for it too.
Number 10. Portia de Rossi. In her 2010 groundbreaking memoir, Unbearable Lightness, Portia de Rossi reveals the pain and illness that haunted her for decades, from a time she was a 12-year-old girl working as a model in Australia through her early rise to fame as a cast member of the hit television show Ally McBeal. She also detailed her struggles with and while living in the public eye, and recounted how she survived on 300 calories a day and took 20 laxatives daily, trying to maintain a weight of 82 pounds. According to her memoir, Portia both starved herself and putting her life in danger and concealing from herself and everyone around her the seriousness of her illness, and described the elaborate rituals around food that came to dominate hours of every day. The actress did this all while terrified that the truth of her sexuality would be exposed in the tabloids, and revealed the heartache and fear that comes from living a life in the closet, which was only magnified by her unrelenting desire to be thinner, more in control of her body, and the number of calories she consumed and spent. But it wasn't all bad. Portia also recounted how falling in love with Ellen DeGeneres helped her develop a healthy body image, embrace her sexual orientation, and gain inner peace. Number 9. Janice Dickinson. A strange encounter with Bill Cosby in 1982 was described in the 2002 memoir No Lifeguard on Duty by the self-anointed world's first supermodel Janice Dickinson. In her book, she reveals real moments that she experienced with Cosby and goes into great detail when it comes to taking back the narrative. Janice mentioned how Cosby allegedly answered his hotel room door in nothing but a towel and kissed her. He then took her to dinner and suggested that she follow him back upstairs. The memoir was pretty explosive at the time and would come back into relevance in 2018 when she chose to testify in court to Cosby's crimes. The comedian was once known to millions as America's Dad, famous for his clean brand of family comedy and his award-winning work with children's programming. So Janice's memoir really did help expose Cosby's double life, as eventually more than 50 women came out claiming that the star slipped them illicit substances and took advantage of them while they were unconscious. And in April of 2018, an 80-year-old Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison, although he would eventually be released in 2021. Number 8. Corey Feldman. In his deeply personal 2013 memoir, child star and teen heartthrob Corey Feldman exposes the darkness that loomed behind his rise to fame. Although he undoubtedly had a successful career, famous friendships, and high-profile relationships, Corey reveals a side to his star-studded life that no one knew about, and it's full of tragedy. He came from a broken family that he emancipated himself from at the age of 15. As a teenager, he suffered physical, emotional, and sexual violence. The Stand By Me star was also arrested and struggled with addiction throughout his time as a successful working actor. But most shockingly, Corey also implied that his close friend Corey Haim's lifelong battle with addiction was the result of being preyed upon by a powerful older man. Following the book's publication came rampant speculations about the identity of the offender, and it's something that readers still argue about to this day. His memoir, Choreography, weaves a heartbreaking story of pain and survival that reveals just how dark the industry can really be. Number 7. Holly Madison. Former Playboy bunny and Girls Next Door star Holly Madison dished on how oppressive life with Hugh Hefner really was in 2015's Down the Rabbit Hole. Madison described the many bizarre rules and rituals that Hefner imposed upon his girlfriends. For instance, that they needed to wear matching flannel pajamas, engage in group dressed in tiny skirts and bralettes, and had a daily curfew of 9 p.m. The memoir tells the story of Madison's time with Hefner from 2001 to 2008 and its aftermath. She goes into great detail about the reality of her life behind the cameras, how her depression in the Playboy mansion reached harrowing depths, yet she felt trapped there. She also opened up about her unwillingness to admit to anyone how sad she really was, and Hefner's emotional control over her. The book also explores her time on the reality show The Girls Next Door and the weirdness that was pop culture in the early 2000s. When speaking about her book, Holly said, Quote, "I felt like I had something to say about being in the midst of that whole thing that was going on where Paris Hilton and Jessica Simpson and Kendra was so celebrated, and I was a part of it too, for being dumb on TV. Part of the reason I wanted to write the book was to show the other side of it," which goes to show you just how much of it was all for the cameras. Number 6. Shania Twain. The Grammy-winning country singer confronted her childhood demons when she wrote her 2011 memoir From This Moment On, describing how her stepfather Jerry was physically, sexually, and verbally violent towards her and her mother Sharon. In a frank and often shocking autobiography, the singer reveals graphic and personal details about her rags to riches story and the price of ambition and success. Throughout her memoir, it also became clear that Shania experienced a harrowing degree of poverty and hunger. For instance, she claimed that sometimes there was only bread and mustard for her and her 4 siblings to eat, and they often wore plastic bread bags to cover their shoes to protect their feet during winter, and regularly went to school without lunch. The singer also had to deal with a double betrayal in her life. She wrote about the heartache that she went through when she found out about the affair between her husband of 14 years, Robert Lang, and her best friend. As a result, Shania became so distraught that she literally lost her voice to spasmodic dysphonia, which left her unable to sing. So her memoir explores how she worked through all that heartbreak. Number 5. Sharon Stone. She became a Hollywood icon and a household name after her role in Basic Instinct, and in a 2021 memoir, The Beauty of Living Twice, she finally reveals the vulnerability behind her femme fatale persona. She goes into great detail about her experiences in Hollywood, like how she was tricked into that famous shot in Basic Instinct, and ill-equipped for fame when it finally came to her. She was also routinely taken advantage of in the male-dominated film industry. She claims that the filmmakers were not entirely honest about what they captured with the camera, and so they didn't have her complete consent to put that scene in the film. Quote, "I do think we have to create a think tank that really addresses what is a crime, what is a felony, what is consent." The name of her memoir actually comes from a life-changing brain hemorrhage that she suffered in 2001 that almost killed her. It left her without the basic ability to function, and she ended up losing her family, her career, and a huge part of her life, which she had to start again from the ground up. Stone also talks about how she went through a childhood of and violence to a career in an industry that actually brought back a lot of those memories for her, although in Hollywood it was all hidden under the cover of money and glamour. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker. As a teenager in the church's Sea organization, Remini said that she was reprimanded for sunning by the pool at the Scientology-run Sandcastle Hotel in Florida, and as a punishment was taken out to sea on a boat, thrown overboard, and nearly drowned by a group leader. Not only that, but she was also once fined $40,000 after confessing to stealing food from the headquarters 20 years earlier. In her memoir, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that her and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. She actually called Will and Jada Pinkett Smith famous friends of the church, and even mentioned the Scientology school that they opened, revealing that despite Jada's denial, she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Number 3. Jeanette McCurdy. Described as both heartbreaking and hilarious, iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy's bluntly titled memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, gives fans a glimpse into what really went on behind the cameras, something that up until now fans have only been able to speculate about. Jeanette exposes her traumatic experiences on Nickelodeon and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that the persona she was known for throughout her youth and her young adult life was a front forced upon her by her mom, who, in addition to everything else, was extremely physically inappropriate with both her and her brother, even when they were teenagers. Jeanette also discusses the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed anorexia as a child, and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also details numerous instances where she felt exploited as a teen actor, both on and off set. The actress refers to the person behind the demands as simply the creator throughout the memoir, never naming them. She simply describes him as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, calling a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit which she preferred. The revelations in her new book are absolutely shocking, and they really expose the traumatic experience of being a child star. Number 2, Christina Crawford. At the height of her fame in the 1940s, Joan Crawford had a considerable reputation to uphold. She won a 1945 Best Actress Academy Award for the lead role in Mildred Pierce. She lived in a beautiful house in Brentwood, LA, and used her wealth to adopt and raise 4 children, including Christina Crawford. For all of this, Joan was celebrated in the public eye and had extensive magazine spreads about her happy family life. But to her daughter, the facade was a complete lie, and eventually her frustration at the discrepancy between her mother's private existence and her public reputation bubbled over. In 1978, she published Mummy Dearest, which told the truth about her mother's character, that she was a sadistic perfectionist. It was the first tell-all celebrity memoir to talk so openly about childhood, and subsequently was a worldwide sensation upon its release. In fact, it stayed at the top of the New York Times bestseller list for 42 weeks, and even resulted in the 1981 film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway that would go on to become a cult hit. To this day, most people associate Joan Crawford with that infamous scene where she launches into a vicious tirade after discovering Christina's dresses were hung up on wire clothes hangers. So it's safe to say that her reputation never recovered. And coming in at number 1, Rose McGowan. In her 2018 memoir Brave, the outspoken actress takes readers behind the scenes of her life in Hollywood, where she has become known as one of the fiercest and realest women fighting to expose the ugly truth about Harvey Weinstein and the systematic misogyny that has defined the industry for so long. The most outspoken of all of Weinstein's accusers, McGowan opens up about when she first met the movie mogul at the Sundance Film Festival, but only refers to him in her book as the monster. She was at the premiere of her 1997 film Going All the Way when he sat behind her. The next day she was sent to his hotel room, where the two talked about films and her acting goals. But as he walked her out, McGowan writes that he pushed her into his bathroom, forcibly backed her into the wall, and ripped off her clothes. But most shockingly, after the incident, the actress was driven to a photo op with her Phantoms co-star Ben Affleck. When she told him what happened, he simply said, "Damn it, I told him to stop doing that." Her memoir couldn't be more relevant to current events, as to date, 84 women have come forward with allegations against Weinstein, and he is currently serving a prison sentence of 23 years.